The Role of the Heart. An essay by James Mahu. Question. The heart plays a central role in your writings, especially those pertaining to what you have termed the 6 heart virtues. Can you explain why the heart is so important, and does its importance make the mind or brain less central to our enlightenment? Answer. The heart has always been important in the works of spirituality. Before there were schools of any kind or a formal educational system, there was the heart. It was the observer of life through the lens of intuition or the sixth sense. This was often more evolved and developed in those who were tasked with being a spiritual leader within their community, but it was acknowledged that all people had this connection. It was an innate gift from our Creator, and this gift enabled us to perceive our choices based on dependency and interconnection, instead of choices based on selfish greed or desire. Intuition was prized by all communities. It became, over time, suppressed by the priests and those charged with organizing spirituality for the purpose of centralizing power over people. These became our religious centers, and intuition was targeted because it enabled everyone to have an instant connection to their Creator. To see truth through their hearts, because their heart was the portal to the higher mind and ultimately the infinite self within, the sovereign integral. Thus, the heart was the human gateway to the sovereign integral. It was like an intermediary or a focused lens that enabled anyone to connect with the universal intelligence beyond their own, while at the same time, understanding they were a part of this intelligence. The religious centers made these beliefs into heretical practices as if they possessed some kind of demon. They were stamped out like a fire, and in those smoldering ruins, the heart was given a back seat to become an emotional roller coaster tormented by sin and morality, the hand of religion. The heart has been repositioned away from an interconnected gateway to our infinite self to an emotional network pinned to human morality. It is up to each of us to unpin the heart, reposition it as a gateway to our infinite self. And in doing so, transmit the behaviors of unconditional love and kindness. This is and has always been the role of our hearts. It is the vast program of religion and culture to teach us that the heart is a trivial playground of emotions, sentimentality, and gushing romance. These are not of the heart of which I speak. The heart and higher mind are synchronous partners who can open the door to the sovereign integral. They can make the invitation clear and present. They are the path away from outside control, to inside alignment to the one and all. When we approach the invitation of our infinite self to join our human reality in space-time, we are always, at the outset, within our heart. The heart is the inception point for the invitation to the sovereign integral consciousness to become a part of us without outside influence of any kind. It is a deeply private and personal invitation without a single atom of fanfare, glamour, or self-interest. There is no organizational structure or code of morality. There is us and there is our infinite self, and this infinite self is sovereign, an individualized, infinite consciousness that is interconnected to the universal intelligence that is one and all. And this interconnection is absolute, unconditional, and infinite. Our hearts are the starting point of this journey to become independent vehicles to our infinite self, not by becoming something grand, but by a simple decoupling from outside influences, and a private invitation from our heart and higher mind. The invitation itself is not a flurry of words inscribed by a mantra maker or an ancient script that has proven to work, rather, it is behaviors of unconditional love and kindness. These can only flow from the heart. In these behaviors is the invitation. It is the behavior of the heart and higher mind that enable us to make the invitation clear and present to our infinite self. It is not words. It is a feeling, but not the kind of feeling that is mushy and tingling. It is the feeling of clarity, commitment, and resoluteness that we have found the way inward and we are ready for the conscious integration between our finite selves and our infinite self. To demonstrate this readiness, it is not about prayers, affirmations, meditations, and techniques, it is about the behavior of unconditional love and kindness, as it has always been. This behavior requires a heart that has been repositioned, not as an emotional roller coaster, but as a gateway to our interconnection with the universal intelligence of one and all. This repositioning is required in order to bring the behaviors that beckon the infinite self to merge with our finite selves. It is as if we demonstrate our belief, and our infinite self observes and feels welcome and safe to perpetuate the flow of unconditional love and kindness. Now, does this mean we are easy to roll over? We will forever be under the boot of the powers that be? No. The heart is resolute. It possesses clarity. If there is undue influence upon one's local universe, we will resist, and that resistance includes the infinite self whose presence is more visceral in our reality. And by visceral, I'm suggesting that it's felt by others. It's understood subconsciously that we have that resoluteness. It is not the long view of strategy that enables unconditional love. It is the infinite view. This view begins in the heart, and this is why the heart is so vitally important. It can hold the infinite view. Unfortunately, it is also why the heart has been undermined by religion, philosophy, metaphysics, and science. Organizations can only exist when the heart is repositioned as the fingers that pluck the strings of emotions, ethics, and morality, because then a quagmire exists, and these organizations offer their help to extract us from the quagmire. Our hearts are the temple we were born into. It was our first home in this new world. We arrive at this place, our hearts, and we depart from this place. In between arrival and departure is our life, and during this life, we can learn to use this heart, our home, not as a pumping device for blood, or an emotional ride between a crest and trough, but rather, as a gateway to our private, inner journey to one and all. Our heart is the start to one and all. It has always been. It is what makes us distinctly human from our very first advent upon earth. Enlightenment is an interesting term in itself. It is often conjoined with awakening, another interesting term, because both of these words suggest we are ignorant and asleep, a state of irrelevant passivity subject to control by outside forces. The human brain or mind is usually the thing presumed to be ignorant and asleep, if not the total human being itself. The brain is the lens into our three-dimensional reality. The heart is the lens into four-dimensional reality. Imagination is the lens into higher dimensional realities. The infinite self is the lens into all realities. In a way, the only thing that needs to be enlightened or awakened is the idea that our heart and mind can invite our infinite self into our reality through behaviors of unconditional love and kindness. It is that idea that causes enlightenment, sufficient to awaken us to our dependence on outside authorities, so we can become independently interconnected. This is a paradox, but nonetheless it's an important understanding in order to envision the sovereign integral consciousness. The importance of the heart does not in any way diminish the importance of the mind. They are truly inseparable, overlapping in function and design. The old adage of two sides of the same coin applies to the heart and mind. In this analog, the same coin is the embodied soul. The soul, infinite self, or sovereign integral, is embodied within the heart-mind complex. It is not embodied in the physical body. It is held within the heart and mind complex, whose circuitry is not contained or quantified in spacetime as a single unit. Rather, it is all. The heart-mind complex is like a vehicle for the soul, in the same way as the physical body is a vehicle for the heart and mind. The heart and mind only require a simple idea to unleash the soul and bring it into our local universe through our behaviors. And in doing this, in starting here, not a religious ceremony, ethical prayer, or spiritual meditation, but a simple idea enacted. We can become who we are while living in a human body with all of our individuality intact and honored. And this is the thing about unconditional love and kindness, it has to begin with ourselves. The invitation to our infinite self cleanses our heart-mind complex of its presumed guilt, moral ineptitude, and insecurity. Our practice of unconditional love and kindness begins there, where we begin to see ourselves not as a floundering, enslaved human being who has done great wrongs, but as an infinite being, living and learning in finiteness, yet interconnected with all. At any moment we can remember this, and when we do, the unconditional is possible for us, and then, from us to all,